Hello and good morning, good afternoon to East Coast. Want to say we are excited to be back. And so for all of our listeners, I'm Kristen Sadler, CEO of Mosaic. And we also have Kim Patterson, who is leading all things strategy within Mosaic for our clients. And we are very excited to have her back. This is one of my favorite people to do Mosaic Minutes with because you're so engaging. And of course, if anybody out there has questions as we're going, please feel free to put it in the comments and we'll incorporate it in today's Mosaic Minute. So today's topic is all about loving the one you're with. And the whole thesis behind this, right, is a trend that we are seeing. Clients raise their hand and say, Mosaic, help us with this. And so we really want to spend time sharing the why behind our UKG Strategic System reviews, the benefits, and really the trends that we're continuing to see in the market. And what this can also do for your business. So Kim, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
You're no stranger to the Mosaic Minute, which is wonderful. So let's just jump right into the UKG system reviews here. So can you explain what a UKG strategic system review is, what it entails, what are the benefits to the business?
Sure, absolutely. So it is a big piece of what we do in the strategic services department. A strategic system review is an opportunity to take a look at the UKG system that's already been implemented within a business and to really do what I like to call a diagnostic or a look under the hood and to say, okay, with what's already been implemented, how are things going right now? And we do that on several fronts, if you will. So we're looking at the system itself and we're saying current state, what does it look like versus what are the requirements the client may have of the system? And how can we help get you there from an optimization standpoint, from a system perspective? And then we also look along with that at the people and the processes, because we believe it takes all three to really make good performance. So it's not just about what the system requirements are, it's what are the needs of your people. And we gain an understanding through some working sessions and things that we do with the client to really say, well, not just what are the system needs, but what are the needs of the team? How do they handle change? What kind of change are we asking them to make with perhaps the changes we might recommend in the system? And we factor all of that into what our recommendations would be and provide a roadmap really for how to prioritize the recommendations that we give.
Love that. I love the focus. It's yes, system, and
Yes.
what about your people? It is about your processes and how do you maintain that moving forward? I love that. And that is one of the big differences that we see between the success of using the system and really leveraging it for everything that it can be. It's more than just the system, right? It is your behaviors and how I love it. So what factors should organizations consider when deciding between optimizing their system or let's get crazy and say we want to look at new alternatives?
Right. Yeah, so this is something we see often with clients is they're really faced with the decision of, should we stay where we are? Or maybe there's this shiny new system and software out there that is calling us and we're attracted that way and we're trying to figure out what to do there. And it's not uncommon because we know that what happens if a system maybe isn't implemented properly, or we weren't the ones who implemented it, so we're not really sure how it was implemented, or perhaps somebody with some great system knowledge is gone now and it's been cobbled together with Band-Aids and chewing gum and we don't really know what. And so there's frustration that comes along with that. And people sometimes would rather just throw it all out the window and start with something new, start fresh, if you will, than to really try to unravel what's going on with the current system and figure out whether it really is a better option to unravel that and work with what you have. And so that's something that I feel like we see frequently with clients, and it takes empathy to really understand that the frustration is there with it. But again, if we're looking at it from multiple perspectives and we're taking a look at people and processes, then we feel like we can help get to what the right decision is to make for that client and help them with that.
I love that. What we have seen with interacting with clients is there are some that have been on their systems for 20 plus years, and that's
Right.
absolutely incredible. And that speaks to the ability and the longevity that the system can have and can grow with you. Now it's all about how you've kept up with that system for the last 20 years. Right.
Yeah.
And so that question of this isn't, we get the question of it's not doing what we want it to anymore. So can we fix it, or do we just need to start new? And that is an interesting question, because think about your employees think that every day. And what do we tell our employees? Right? Grass isn't greener.
Yeah.
What's the expression? The flower will grow where you watch. Yeah. I'm terrible at
Yes.
expressions, but like focus on what you have and look at how you can actually make that better.
Yeah.
And as we've been helping clients, what we've also seen is some of the trends even post-COVID, right? We saw the great resignation. We saw the great awakening. We saw where people really focused, and companies even focused on what's my purpose? What's my priorities? Let's redefine the workplace. And through that transition, now we have to look at the system with a fresh set of eyes. We've seen a lot of HR turnover as well. You've already mentioned it, Kim. There was the HR leader that then left, implemented the system, left. Now you have somebody new, and you want to be able to look at this with a fresh set of eyes and have clean data. And so those are the trends that we hear with clients coming to us saying, like, how do we optimize this? How do we make it better? Because you should be leveraging this technology for everything that it's worth. Oh, I love it. See, and this is why I love the conversation. And we've seen such an uptick in this conversation with our clients just over the last 12 months, where people, again, are really reimagining workplace and want to make sure that their technology is keeping up with it. So what are some of the common misconceptions businesses have about the cost and the benefits of a new system versus optimizing what they already have?
Yeah. So I want to speak to something you said, because it's a strong belief of mine. You mentioned the greener grass thing.
Yes.
So I learned at an early age in the hospitality industry and doing marketing in the hospitality industry. If you want greener grass, grow it yourself. And so I think that really applies here. Is there are opportunities to take a look at what you have and really see what you can make of it. And so some common misperceptions about so one of the big things I think there is out there right now is the competition. So you have software companies, HRS software companies out there that will literally give away implementations to get you to purchase their software. And it's very tempting, I know, when clients are in this state of frustration that they're in. But I would just say, a question that I might have if I were on the receiving end of such an offer is, why are they willing to give that away? They're going to make the money somewhere, undoubtedly. And a lot of times they're giving that away because where they make it up is in the longer term engagement with the client. And so that is just basically an instrument to get them there where they'll recoup that. And the problem with that often for the client is what happens along the way in that implementation. And that's so critical to the success of the system and the team members' adoption of that system overall. So I like to compare it to, if you think about if I were in getting my car serviced and it needed a new engine, and that's such a major, major decision that I have to make. And they said, you know what, don't worry about it. We'll put a new engine in. We won't charge you anything for us to do that. I'd question how much time and effort and care are they really going to put into installing that? I'm going to get the new engine, but are they really going to give that the attention that it deserves? It'd be like a heart surgeon saying, hey, you know what? I'll do it for free. Just, I'll charge you for the heart. What? We would question those things, but yet we don't question it in situations like this where inevitably it's a very critical decision for our business and a very costly, ultimately, decision for our business, why are they giving it to me for free? So I would just say that's one of the misperceptions, is that it's that old saying, nothing is really free. So, question why. And I would say on the flip side of it, also, when you're thinking about making such a critical decision, this is why system reviews are so valuable, because is it really a system issue, or is it an issue of the way it was adopted? Is it an issue of the way it was implemented to begin with? Is it an issue that's more on our side as the people who put that system in? Is it on that side of things? And is that where we might be able to do something different if we go in and do that diagnostic and really look at how to change things going forward?
I just had this conversation with a client about a month ago, in person, going through the whole process around, again, do you leverage and optimize what you have versus looking elsewhere? And so you had a statement there that just rang very true and that was the same conversation. We really got into the actual adoption of the team. We got into, how do you keep your data clean? What are your processes that kind of protect that as you go through from the moment that you're at go live, right? And you are ready to take on this new piece of software, all the way through continuing to make improvements and making sure your processes are in place. So we ended up spending, out of what they walked in the conversation, think we're all things system. And what we ended up spending the most time was talking about their HR team and their payroll team processes and their readiness for that adoption. It's so interesting, because again, I'm going to say you hit the nail on the head there. It is all three, right? That you have to focus on, not just one part of that stool. So how does the Mosaic Strategy team actually help identify and leverage that untapped potential in their current setup? Tell me about that.
So first of all, I think we've got the benefits of, as an organization, having been UKG exclusive for all 13 years that we've been in business. So what that means is we've got a ton of institutional knowledge. We've got a lot of great best practices that are born of working with a lot of different organizations. And I know a lot of times, because again, of the care that goes into making decisions about systems like this, our clients are concerned that we're complex. Our system needs are complex. They're unique. And we like to say, hey, we agree with you. We want to put together a one size fits one solution for you. But the good news is we've got a lot of history and a lot of background with clients who are complex, with clients who have unique needs, that we can then draw upon to help to put together the right solution for clients. So I think that that's something that we can help with, is those best practices, and really then bringing together that with what are some of the new things we're seeing, what are some of the trends we're seeing, how are the needs of existing system and system requirements then helping us bridge into what we need going forward for future. And that's really the work we're doing with clients, is we're saying, let's look at current state, let's look at what your needs have been and how things have gone with the system, and let's bring that into the future, and let's talk about what you need for the future, and let's make sure this is going to do what you need it to going forward. And then again, to your point, Kristen, I can't overemphasize enough here either. Like, it's also, let's not just look at what you believe your system needs future state, but let's also talk about the gap that that's going to create in potential from a learning perspective, what team members know and do currently versus what we're going to need them to be able to do future state. How are we going to help them to do that? And let's figure out how to close that gap between now and then and what it looks like. So.
And if you'll also add a little bit to around the roadmap, right, that comes after you get done with a strategic system review, you have a plan, right? You have that roadmap that incorporates all three. Can you just spend a minute?
Yeah, yeah. And I like to liken it back to that multi-point inspection. When you go in and you get your car service, it's kind of the same thing where you'll go in and you'll hear, what are the things that I need to get done right now? What are the critical things? And then what are the things that I can maybe wait a few months to do, or are less critical? And we do the same thing when we put a roadmap together for our clients. Is we say, hey, what are the foundational things? What are the things you want to prioritize and do right now? And versus 3 months from now, 6 months from now, we'll put together a plan that'll help get you through the next year as far as prioritization of things you can do to the system, and what are the need to haves versus the nice to haves, and what's the lift. So what are things that if you want to tackle these yourself as the client, that you could probably handle yourself, versus what are things you might need some help with that are a little more complex. And we make these, by the way, these working sessions that we have with the client also educational opportunities as well, where we're helping payroll and HR team members to understand what we're doing when we're making these recommendations to the system, and what that looks like for them to be able to carry that forward.
Love that. And so what are some of those main challenges that companies face when trying to optimize their current system? And essentially, how can they overcome those obstacles as well?
Yeah. So big challenges I see. A lot of that I think has to do with really, again, just understanding what needs are right now versus what the needs are to carry you forward. And really then taking that step back and doing that review versus just kind of jumping into something and, frankly, doing the investment that it takes to actually, not only of time, but of cost and all of that stuff, the investment that it takes to stop, take a moment to be thoughtful about what the existing opportunities are that you have with your system, and then take that forward and really then have a good sense of what could I do here versus what could I do with something new. And so in order to really be able to compare apples to apples, you want to have both sides of it. So it, again, thinking about a car, if I'm considering buying a new car versus keeping the used car and doing some things to tune that up and get that in shape for me, for how I want it to be, then I really need to think about what the whole picture looks like, what it's going to cost with this one, what I can do to get it to where I want it, and then what would the cost be of the new car as well. Same thing with our system.
I love that. And I implemented this here in our organization over, 8 years ago, which is kind of crazy to think about. And when I think about how much our organization has grown since that first interaction, I can definitely speak to the challenges that you face, but also the benefits that you get as you continue to add different modules that become available as you continue to leverage this piece of technology into your overall people strategy. And so this is something I'm extremely proud of for Mosaic. There's a reason why for the last 3 years, we're actually going through our 4th certification process of Great Places to Work for All. There's a reason why we've been able to reduce turnover year over year, which has an immediate impact into our bottom line and to the overall profitability of our company, which for us is very important because we fund our own growth and we also improve the employee experience year over year. And that's important to us to continue to invest into our team for career pathing opportunities, for more training opportunities. That's what we get to do with that savings. And so for me, it was extremely important to figure out, how do we leverage this system? And then how do we keep up with it? How do we make sure that we utilize it to actually improve our employee experience? And so that's probably a story for another day. But this is I'm a user, right? I'm a client of UKG, and I'm standing here in front of, well, technically sitting, but you get what I'm saying. I'm sitting here in front of you today to say it's possible, right? As you focus on your people and your process, along with making sure your technology is working for you and you're not working for it. Love that. So as we kind of wrap up, since we're getting towards the end of our Mosaic Minute, how can viewers get in touch? How do they figure out a little bit more about how to gain assistance and consulting for this amazing opportunity?
Yeah, so probably the quickest and easiest way would be to go to our website. So you can go to our website, mosaic-cg.com, and go to optimization planning. And then that's an easy way to read about and understand. And then if you go to that Get Started button, then that's going to give you an opportunity to submit for inquiry for further information about it. But that's a really great place to start, is just go on and see a little bit more about what we offer. And then we would love to get in touch with you and have a conversation about your unique needs and figure out what that one size fits one solution can be.
I love that. Well, thank you, Kim, for your time. Thank you for
Yeah.
all of you that joined and listened today. And if there's anything we can do to help you optimize your system, we are happy to do that. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Hi, thanks for having me again.